On Form 4 generation printers, the build platform mounts on the build platform dovetail assembly, which includes the build platform latch. Any issues with the dovetail assembly may cause alignment issues for the build platform and the LPU surface. These issues can look like parts missing from the build platform, known as non-adherence, or layers of a print separating from one another, which is known as delamination. Additional signs that the dovetail may be causing issues is the presence of horizontal layer lines, warping, or waving found within prints. If you are experiencing these issues and have already cleaned the optical surfaces of your printer and run the procedure for aligning your build platform without improvement, use this guide to replace the build platform dovetail assembly. If this video helps you solve your printer's issue, please like the video, and thanks for watching. To start, we will prepare the Form 4 and a dust-free workspace for replacing the dovetail assembly. First, remove the build platform to avoid dripping resin onto the LPU or light processing unit. Remove the resin cartridge and close the vent cap to prevent resin from dripping off of the bite valve and into the printer. Unlatch the mixer and the resin tank. Remove the resin tank and cover it with its lid. Set the tank aside on a clean, flat surface. Clear a workspace around your printer and ensure that the workspace is well ventilated and free of dust. Open the printer cover and clean any resin pooled on and around the LPU with non-abrasive wipes. Dampen the wipes with isopropyl alcohol if necessary to remove the resin. Disconnect the power cable before continuing with maintenance. Do not perform maintenance on the printer while it is connected to power. Wait 5 minutes after disconnecting the printer from power before proceeding. We will now begin to remove the build platform dovetail assembly from the printer. On the bottom of the build platform mount, there are 2 set screws used to secure the barrels to the build platform mount. Using a 1.5mm hex driver, unscrew the set screws. You may need to use a secondary lighting source in order to locate the screws due to their size. Set the screws aside. Next, use a 4mm hex driver to unscrew the 2 binding barrel screws. You may need to stabilize the binding barrels from the other side in order to remove the screws fully. Set the screws aside. Using your fingernail or a thin piece of plastic, grip the binding barrels from the left side and slide them out of the build platform dovetail assembly. Lastly, locate the build platform detection flag on the right side of the build platform mount. Using a screwdriver or a spudger, press down on the detection flag and raise the dovetail assembly at the same time to release it from the mount. Make sure the detection flag is pressed down during removal. Set the dovetail assembly aside for disposal. We will now install the new build platform dovetail assembly and loosely install the binding barrels. First, press the build platform dovetail assembly against the build platform detection flag to allow it to lower onto the mount. You may need to use moderate force to place the assembly back on the mount. If you are experiencing resistance, realign the dovetail assembly so that it is lowered down onto the build platform mount with a vertical motion. The build platform dovetail assembly is installed correctly when the screw holes properly align with those in the mount and it sits securely. Insert 1 binding barrel into each slot on the left side of the build platform dovetail assembly. Rotate the barrels so that the flat side of the end cap faces upwards. Ensure that they sit flush against the side of the dovetail assembly. Insert 1 binding barrel screw into each screw hole. Using a 4mm hex driver, loosely screw in the binding barrel screws. Tighten until you can slide the build platform onto the dovetail assembly without interference. Do not tighten completely. Using a 1.5mm hex driver, reinstall the small set screws in the binding barrels. You may need to use a secondary light source to locate the screw holes. Tighten the set screws until snug. After installing the replacement build platform dovetail assembly, power on the printer and perform final checks. Close the printer cover and connect the power cable to the printer and the power supply. Turn on the switch at the back of the printer. The printer will turn on and initialize. Then, run the Align Build Platform calibration by tapping Settings, Tools, Align Build Platform on the touchscreen and following the on-screen instructions. Check out our video for aligning the build platform for further guidance. Once build platform calibration is complete, fully tighten the binding barrel screws to secure the build platform dovetail assembly's position. Insert any missing consumables and run a test print. Check that the print starts normally and the parts print successfully. Need help? Contact Formlabs support or a certified service provider for additional support. Did this video help you get printing again? If so, please leave a like on our video and subscribe for more content. What video would you like to see next? Leave a comment telling us more.